Good morning. My name is Michael Creasy, the Superintendent of the National Parks of Boston. It is an honor to be speaking with you aboard the USS Cassin Young for this Pearl Harbor Remembrance Ceremony. I want to recognize that there would normally be many more people joining us, but because of the pandemic, we are once again having a virtual event. We do, however, feel your absence deeply. We are standing in an awe-inspiring place, the Charlestown Navy Yard, overlooking Boston Harbor in the shadows of Bunker Hill Monument. This is a place in America where this nation's destiny has been decided. It is both a site of war and a place that symbolizes the daring of America's character. We stand on one ship overlooking another that recognizes our naval heritage spanning from the War of 1812 to World War II. This is the place where the United States Navy was born and where it evolved into one of the world's greatest naval powers. It remains a working shipyard, a place where the United States Navy resides within a national park. Now think about that, an active military personnel living and working within a national park. It symbolizes the importance and the power of place, and it honors the human spirit. The shipbuilders, the rope makers, the iron workers, the welders, the architects and the engineers, the sailors, all within a supportive community. At the yard's peak years during World War II, over 50,000 civilians came to work each day at the shops, the offices, the piers, and the dry docks, and nearly 20% were women. Between 1939 and 1945, the Charlestown Navy Yard launched 303 vessels and commissioned another 120 ships. In addition, it overhauled 1,108 vessels and 3,260 ships were repaired. This effort was critical to the Allied victory during World War II. So here we are in this awe-inspiring place to remember and to honor all those civilians and servicemen and women who fought to preserve our freedom and our values. I believe it has always been the responsibility of the National Park Service to give people hope, optimism, and voice. The very creation of a national park is an expression of faith in the future. It is a pact between generations, a promise from the past to the present to the future. It is our collective missions amongst the United States Navy, USS Constitution Museum, and the National Park Service to conserve these places for future generations and to celebrate and to commemorate the events and stories that they behold. We thank you for your commitment and support. In closing, we are here to honor those who died at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, and remind ourselves that their dedication can be a model for us to follow in service to our nation in these trying times. I thank you.
Hello, I'm Commander John Benda, 76th Commanding Officer of USS Constitution, more affectionately known as Old Ironsides. And behind me is USS Cassin Young, a World War II Fletcher-class destroyer, our sister ship here at the Charlestown Navy Yard in Boston, Massachusetts. I'd like to join, or I'm honored to join, the National Park Service of Boston and the USS Constitution Museum today as we commemorate and remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice on December 7th, 1941 during the Pearl Harbor attack on our country. I'd like to recognize and remember and thank all World War II veterans and all veterans for their service to their nation.
Good morning. I'm Cassin Young II. On this day 79 years ago, my grandfather, Captain Cassin Young, rose to the occasion as commanding officer of the USS Vestal during the attack at Pearl Harbor. His Medal of Honor citation reads in part, for distinguished conduct in action, outstanding heroism, and utter disregard of his own safety above and beyond the call of duty. Commander Young proceeded to the bridge and later took personal command of the 3-inch anti-aircraft gun. When blown overboard by the blast of the forward magazine explosion of the USS Arizona, he swam back to his ship. Despite severe enemy bombing and strafing at the time, and the shocking experience of having been blown overboard, Commander Young, with extreme coolness and calmness, moved his ship to an anchorage distant from the USS Arizona and subsequently beached the USS Vestal upon determining that such action was required to save his ship and valiant crew. Only 11 months later, Captain Young would again be up to the task under fire as commanding officer of the USS San Francisco at the Navy action at Guadalcanal. This time, he gave his life and was posthumously awarded the Navy Cross for his actions in the major surface action that is often hailed as one of the turning points for the naval forces in the Pacific in World War II. It is most fitting that 13 months after his death, the USS Cassin Young, which went on to serve so honorably in World War II and was beyond, was commissioned in his honor. Because we are in anything but normal times, the touching Pearl Harbor Day ceremony that is held on board the Cassin Young must be held virtually this year. It seems appropriate that today we should also send our thoughts, prayers, and thanks to the thousands and thousands of medical personnel, first responders, and others who are sacrificing daily to combat the pandemic that has swept this great country. Thank you very much.
We could never forget the events of 79 years ago. 19 Navy ships destroyed or damaged, 169 Navy and Army Air Corps planes destroyed, 2,403 dead, and 1,178 wounded. All these soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and civilians. Despite the surprise, U.S. forces fought back hard. It did not break their spirit. In fact, it charged it. In his 1943 State of the Union address, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "First in the importance in the American scene has been the inspiring proof of the great qualities of our fighting men." It was these qualities, the resilience and determination, that helped shape this country's, and indeed, the world's future. The unconquerable spirit of the heroes of the greatest generation enabled them to rise to the occasion. They understood the importance of what they were fighting for. In the words of Herb Weatherwax, a World War II hero, "We served willingly, we fought willingly, and we died willingly." President George H.W. Bush epitomized the spirit of the greatest generation. President Bush was a Navy pilot and World War II veteran. He understood the significance of these men and women's sacrifice, and spoke at Pearl Harbor for the 50th commemoration, saying, "The friends I lost, that all of us lost, upheld a great and noble cause. Because of their sacrifice, the world now lives in greater freedom and peace than ever before." We cannot forget the sacrifices made by these brave men and women. To forget them is to dishonor the actions taken to defend our rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As they stormed the beaches of Normandy and planted our flag in the sands of Iwo Jima, our brave service members rolled back the tide of tyranny in Europe and throughout the Pacific theater. Because of their actions, nations that once knew only the blinders of fear saw the dawn of liberty. We must all remind ourselves that Americans fought and bled in foreign lands, not to conquer them, but to liberate them. The heroes of the greatest generation blazed a trail of excellence and national pride that transcended the battlefields of World War II. It emboldened future generations as we fought on the frozen tundra of Korea, in the rice paddies of Vietnam, the mountains and caves of Afghanistan, and the deserts of the Middle East. The men and women of the greatest generation went to war and braved hardships to make the world safer, freer, and more just. As we reflect on the lives lost at Pearl Harbor, we remember why America gave so much for the survival of liberty in the war that followed that infamous day. Today, with solemn gratitude, we recall the sacrifice of all who served during World War II, especially those who gave their last full measure of devotion and the families that they left behind. As proud heirs to the freedom and progress secured by those who came before us, we pledge to uphold their legacy and honor their memory. So on this National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, we pay tribute to the souls lost 79 years ago. We salute those who responded with strength and courage in service of our nation. And we continue our dedication to the ideals for which they so valiantly fought. I want to thank National Parks of Boston Superintendent Michael Creasy, USS Constitution Museum President and CEO Anne Grimes Rand, Commander John Benda, 76th Commanding Officer of USS Constitution, and their teams for their continued efforts to educate and inspire future generations to work toward a better future and to never forget. May God bless this great city of Boston, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the United States of America.